You got into your car this morning, turned the key, pressed the pedal, and moved at 65 kilometers an hour without using a single muscle. Just 100,000 years ago, that same journey would have demanded 2 full days of walking, barefoot, through treacherous territory that could easily claim your life. There were no roads, no paths, no signs to guide you. For almost all of human history, getting anywhere meant risking everything, with nothing but your own 2 feet to carry you. Today, you can fly across the planet in a single day, or order something from the other side of the world and have it appear at your door. Movement is now so effortless, it's virtually invisible. But what if I told you that for roughly 300,000 years, every single journey a human being ever undertook happened at walking speed, and this one profound limitation shaped everything about how we lived, what we ate, who we married, and how much of the world we ever got to see. This is the story of how humanity defied its most fundamental constraint. So, let's start at the beginning. Your feet. Humans are, in fact, the planet's best long-distance walkers, though certainly not the fastest. A cheetah can reach 113 kilometers an hour. A horse can sustain 48 kilometers an hour for many kilometers. You, however, might peak at 24 kilometers an hour, but only for a few seconds before you're gasping for air. Speed was never the point, though. You can walk 32 kilometers in a day, sleep and repeat the feat tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. You can do this for weeks on end. No other animal on Earth possesses such sustained endurance. Your feet are equipped with arches that act as natural springs, and your Achilles tendon efficiently stores and releases energy with every step, ensuring your muscles don't bear the full load. A specialized ligament running up the back of your neck keeps your head remarkably stable as your body moves beneath it, and you possess about 2 million sweat glands, constantly cooling you down while every other large mammal on the savanna quickly overheats and must stop. You aren't built for speed. You are built to never stop. In 1978, paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey made a groundbreaking discovery: a trail of footprints in Laetoli, Tanzania. These impressions were pressed into volcanic ash 3.6 million years ago, showing 2 individuals walking upright, side by side. It was the oldest evidence of bipedal walking ever found, and astonishingly, they look almost exactly like your own. For millions of years, this was the sole transportation technology humans possessed. And yet, somehow, this seemingly simple form of locomotion was enough to take us further than any other species has ever ventured. Starting roughly 70,000 years ago, humans began their epic journey out of Africa. This wasn't a single, organized march, but rather a process unfolding over thousands of years, generation by generation, with small groups pushing ever further into territories no human had ever seen. They traversed the Middle East, spread across Asia, reached Europe, walked into Siberia, crossed a land bridge into Alaska, and continued south through the Americas. That's a journey of roughly 24,000 kilometers without knowing the destination even existed. What often goes unmentioned is that these journeys weren't random wanderings. Archaeologists have found obsidian tools hundreds of kilometers from their nearest volcanic source, shells discovered far inland, and amber traded across vast mountain ranges. These early humans were purposefully covering massive distances, to trade, to connect with other groups, and to find specific resources they knew existed because someone had shared knowledge about them. This wasn't aimless wandering. This was networking on foot. The problem with walking, however, is its limitations. You can traverse a desert or conquer a mountain pass, but a river brings you to an abrupt halt. And rivers were ubiquitous, cutting through every migration route, every hunting ground, and every trade path. For hundreds of thousands of years, any significant body of water was essentially an impassable wall. You either found a shallow crossing or you turned around. And then, somehow, humans figured out something no other land animal ever has: how to cross water on purpose. In 2003, archaeologists working on the island of Flores in Indonesia discovered stone tools dating back roughly 800,000 years. The critical detail is that Flores has never been connected to the mainland. Even during the lowest sea levels of the ice ages, there was always at least 19 kilometers of open ocean between the island and the nearest land. This means one thing: someone made the crossing. We don't know what they used. Wood rots, bamboo decomposes. Whatever vessel they floated on is long gone. But the tools remain, irrefutable proof that the crossing occurred. The first boats were likely accidental discoveries. A fallen log, perhaps a bundle of reeds tied together. Not designed, but simply discovered. Someone grabbed a floating log to cross a stream and miraculously didn't drown. That was the pivotal breakthrough. But what happened next was deliberate. Around 65,000 years ago, humans crossed from Southeast Asia to Australia. That crossing entailed sailing at least 97 kilometers of open ocean. You couldn't see Australia from the other side, nor could you simply drift there by accident. Someone deliberately built something that could float, pointed it towards an unseen horizon across open water, and paddled. Pause for a moment and consider that. They left the safety of solid ground with absolutely no idea if anything awaited them on the other side. The oldest boat we've ever unearthed, the Pessa canoe from the Netherlands, is approximately 10,000 years old. Merely a hollowed-out log. But the underlying technology extends far further back in time. People were already inhabiting islands they had no means of reaching on foot, tens of thousands of years before that canoe was even carved. And then, the Polynesians accomplished something truly extraordinary. Starting around 3,000 years ago, they began crossing the Pacific Ocean, the largest body of water on Earth. They constructed magnificent double-hulled canoes, loaded them with food, animals, and entire families, and sailed thousands of kilometers, navigating by nothing but the stars, the subtle direction of ocean swells, the flight patterns of birds, and the color of clouds near land. No compass, no map, just observations so incredibly precise they still astonish modern navigators. They reached Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, and every habitable island in the Pacific. Some of those epic voyages covered over 4,000 kilometers of open water with nothing in between. While walking conquered land and boats mastered water, one fundamental problem remained unsolved: weight. You could walk 32 kilometers, but you certainly couldn't walk 32 kilometers carrying a 90-kilogram animal you had just killed. For most of human history, the primary limitation on transportation wasn't distance, but sheer weight. You could only move what your body could physically carry, and your body can typically handle perhaps 18 to 27 kilograms before the strain becomes debilitating. So humans started to cheat. The first method they attempted was simple dragging. You kill something large, throw it on a hide, and drag it back to camp. We know this because archaeologists have unearthed ancient hides bearing distinct wear marks, consistent with heavy objects being dragged over long distances. Then, someone conceived an even better idea: the travois. This consisted of two long poles tied together in a V shape, with a platform slung between them. You drag the narrow end, while the wider end carries the load. It cleverly distributes the weight, and just like that, one person could move 45 kilograms or even more. What's truly remarkable about this is that the travois might be one of the oldest ways humans ever moved anything, yet being made of wood and leather, almost none survived. The only reason we confidently know of its existence is because people were still utilizing it when Europeans arrived in the Americas, thousands of years later. But the true breakthrough in moving significant weight wasn't something you could construct. It was something you could befriend. Approximately 15,000 years ago, humans domesticated dogs, the first animal species we ever formally partnered with. And one of the first tasks we assigned them was hauling weight. In the Arctic, dogs pulled sleds across ice and snow. A single dog could move about 20 kilograms, while a team of 6 could transport an entire family's camp. But dogs, while capable, were relatively small. We needed something larger. Approximately 5,500 years ago, on the steppes of what is now Kazakhstan, humans mastered the horse. Our knowledge stems from evidence left by a group known as the Botai. Archaeologists discovered distinct wear marks on horse teeth, consistent with the use of bits, clear evidence that someone had been placing something in the animal's mouth to control it. They also found mare's milk residues baked into pottery. These weren't merely people who hunted horses, they rode them, milked them, and built their entire lives around them. And the horse changed everything. For the first 300,000 years of human existence, the fastest a human could travel was about 6.4 kilometers per hour. walking speed. On horseback, you could reach 48 kilometers per hour. In a single generation, the human world dramatically shrank by a factor of 8. Suddenly, you could cover in days what used to take weeks. Messages traveled faster, trade routes stretched further, and warfare was irrevocably transformed, as an army on horseback could reach you before you even knew they were coming. Donkeys hauled goods through deserts, camels made it across the Sahara, reindeer dragged sleds through Arctic snow, and llamas carried cargo over the Andes. Wherever humans settled, they adapted by finding whatever animal suited their needs and put it to work. But humanity wasn't finished. One more pivotal invention was yet to arrive, and it took an absurdly long time to manifest. Here's a fact that seems counterintuitive until you truly consider it. Humans crossed every ocean on Earth before anyone invented the wheel. The oldest known wheel was discovered in the Ljubljana marshes of Slovenia, dating back approximately 5,200 years. That's it. Boats date back at least 10,000 years, and likely much further. Horses were tamed 5,500 years ago. Humans had already sailed to Australia 65,000 years before that. The wheel was one of the last major transportation inventions, not the first, and it didn't even originate as a mode of transportation. The earliest wheels were for pottery, functioning as a spinning disc to shape clay. At some point, someone observed that spinning disc and ingeniously turned it on its side, pondering, what if we put something on top of it? The first wheeled vehicles were ponderous, equipped with heavy, solid wooden wheels. They frequently cracked on rough terrain and became mired in mud. A horse without a cart was, frankly, faster than a horse burdened by one. But around 2000 BCE, a brilliant mind conceived the spoked wheel. It was lighter, stronger, and significantly faster. And suddenly, chariots emerged, offering both speed and cargo capacity simultaneously. Roads came after that. The first paved road we know of was laid in the city of around 4000 BCE. And once you had wheels, roads, and horses, all synergistically working together, you finally had something resembling a true transportation system. Trade exploded, empires became possible, and armies and supplies could be moved hundreds of kilometers without everything collapsing. The wheel, the horse, the road, that powerful combination is what forged every civilization you've ever heard of. So, let's look at the complete picture. For 300,000 years, humans relied solely on their legs, and they walked across the entire planet. They encountered water and ingeniously figured out how to float. Needing to carry more, they learned to drag. Then they constructed frames like the travois. Then they forged partnerships with animals. They mastered the horse, and the world shrank dramatically overnight. They invented the wheel, and it shrank once more. Every one of these breakthroughs took thousands of years, each built upon the innovations that preceded it, solving problems that would have seemed utterly impossible to anyone who lived before them. Now, you sit in a metal box on a paved road, traveling at 113 kilometers per hour, and you call it a commute. You fly 4,800 kilometers across an ocean in 6 hours, and you're annoyed the Wi-Fi is slow. You have a machine in your pocket that can summon a car to your exact location in 4 minutes, and you're irritated it takes 5. Your ancestors walked barefoot for 24,000 kilometers across continents they couldn't name, to reach places they'd never seen, and they did it because they had to, because staying still meant dying. We solved the problem of distance so completely that we forgot it was ever a problem. Every highway, every airport, every set of train tracks on this planet exists because 300,000 years ago, someone looked at the horizon and started walking. They didn't know where they were going. They went anyway. And perhaps, that's the most profoundly human thing there is.